Welcome back to the Toffee Blues, your source for all things Everton. I am Connor Williams, and this is the Dele Alli transfer reaction video. At the time of this video going out, Dele Alli should be announced. At the time of filming, it's a long medical, but Fabrizio Romano has said that it's more than likely going to happen, and the deal will be pushed over the line and nothing to worry about. The Dele Alli deal is a bit interesting. Fabrizio Romano said that it's a free transfer. Then after 20 games, we're going to pay 12 million euros and bonuses for next year. The deal could potentially reach 35 to 40 million euros, but that depends on Dele Alli and the team's performances. So it'll be like if they win a cup, if Dele scores a certain amount of goals, etc., etc. Matt Law from the Daily Telegraph also confirmed this and said that it's a 2.5-year deal. He also said it's worth noting that Dele Alli's cup tied for the FA Cup games, so a maximum of games he could play for Everton this season's 18. So even then, we're probably not going to pay that 10 million this season because he's not going to get the games. Mathematically, he will not get those 20 games. He'll be 2 games short, which means we'll have to pay 10 million next season. Because I'm sure he'll, over the next 2.5 years, he will get that game time needed. I'm a bit on the fence about this one, in all honesty. The deal looks good, yes. If we're paying 35 to 40 million for him, I think it's personally isn't a very good deal for Dele Alli, a player who's been known to have a bit of an attitude problem. Jose Mourinho in the Amazon documentary said, he doesn't train, he's lazy in training, and tried to get that out of him. And Dele Alli was laughing when he said it, which sort of, for me, that sort of sums up the type of player he is. He said, before he wasn't sure about joining Everton until the manager, Frank Lampard's clearly managed to, persuade him to join. But his heart was never on us until the manager was announced. Which again, people will say that doesn't matter. Now he's here, it doesn't matter, and that's fair enough. For me, the only worry is that but if we're paying 30 to 40 outright for him, that wouldn't be a good deal. But that's due to bonuses and add-ons, so that's sort of like he's got to earn that price tag, which I'm a little bit okay about. And the fact that he'll be a free from now till the end of the season is good. That's a really good deal for Dele Alli. And the wages are another little bit of a concern, but we don't know how much that is. I just think it's a weird transfer. The deal itself is a little bit weird. And the only reason I'm not optimistic is because I think it's a deal that I don't want to say, but like if another manager had signed Dele Alli, I think a couple of people would be like, why have we signed him? Sort of it's well documented that he's struggled to find his form for quite a while now. I will get into his stats and explain why I've said that. I'm not just out to get it. I've got stats to prove that his form has been on a bit of a dip for the last couple of years. Obviously, I hope I'm wrong, and I hope he goes on to perform brilliantly. And if it's stuff like getting Everton in the Champions League or scoring like 30 goals for Everton that make him cost the higher ends, then I'm not going to be bothered, am I? And neither will other fans, because he will be paying dividends for that. He's got to earn that higher transfer fee. So the better he is, the more we pay. He's not very good. I think he's going to be a player we'll struggle to get rid of if he's not very good. And I think he'll be one of those that we do really struggle to get rid of. But that's the risk with any transfer. You could say that about anybody we sign. There isn't always a guarantee you can sell them on if they're not very good. But yeah, I have got some of Dele Alli's stats here. These have all come from SofaScore. They rate him as an attribute overview, and then they rate the average values in this position for the league. So he's got 62 creative, 59 attacking out of 100. That is slightly better. Both of them are slightly better than the league average for that position. But his defending, tactical awareness are both considerably lower at 30 and 34. And his technical is just a little bit off for the league average. Obviously, because it's done by an average and he doesn't get much. This was in January 2022, and he's only played like 8 games, I believe it is, for Spurs this season. Which I haven't got his stats for this season because I thought it was a bit harsh to judge him on 8 games, and I think a couple of them were substitute appearances. So I've got his stats from the year before going backwards. So last year he played 15, 7 started, 42 minutes a game, so he got just under half. No goals, only 0.8 shots on per game, 3 big chances missed. He did get an assist, got 32 touches of the ball, But in 15 games, 7 that he started, 0.6 key passes, but 2 big chances created. Obviously, that's a little bit. His defensive stats aren't very. They're not bad, but they're nothing to rave home about. But that's not what you signed Dele Alli for. Obviously, I think he's going to be more of our creative player. It'd be interesting to see how him and Donny van der Beek, get into the team. It'd be very interesting. The season before that, he played 25 games, started 21 of them, got on average about 74 minutes a game. So now we can start analysing him a little bit better. He got 8 goals. He got 1.7 shots a game, 7 big chances missed. He got 4 assists that season with 6 big chances being created. So obviously, if striker had finished them, he'd be on 6 assists, which isn't bad. And then as you go further back in his career, you get a little bit better. His best season, I believe, was the 16-17 season. He played 37, started 35, and then got about 82 minutes a game. He got 18 goals. It was, he missed 11 big chances, but he was getting lots of shots off. He assisted 7 in that time as well. 5 big chances created and was putting off 1.4 key passes a game. So obviously back in 2016-17, I think that was when he was having that really, really great season. That was standout. That's about 4 years ago now, 4, 5, 6 years ago. So that'll be when he's about 20 years old. He's about 25 now. So obviously since then, his career has sort of gone like that. Obviously Tottenham have been, I'd say, about level with us in terms of managers coming, managers going. So it's not been easy for him. He's had Jose Mourinho to play under, who I'm going to say isn't the most attacking manager in the world. Then he had Nuno Espirito Santo, again, not the most attacking manager in the world. His stats after he won the manager of the month for Spurs were quite appalling. Then he had Conte, and he's got a couple of games under Conte, but nothing more. The only negative I really do have about Dele Alli is the attitude problems that he supposedly has. Obviously now Jose Mourinho, Nuno, Conte, Pochettino really liked him, and I think Pochettino got the best out of him. I think that was when he really was thriving, when he was under a manager he wanted to play as. I think he's better in the number 10 role, personally, which I don't think Frank Lampard is going to deploy. He will have to play in a centre mid role, which he can do, but I think he's best in that 10 role. That's where Pochettino liked him, and he got loads of success out of him. He has played up front as well in like a false 9 a couple of times, but not enough that it's worth even noting, really. But then since Pochettino, which obviously Pochettino got that whole Spurs squad absolutely loving him, and that they love to play for him. He's sort of dipped. He's had 2 world-class managers and Nuno, and none of those 3 have really rated him. And Mourinho has been quite open about Dele Alli and the issues he's had with him. That is a slight worry for me, but I guess on the counter, you could find 100 players that have had an issue with Jose Mourinho as well. He's not exactly one of the more liked men in football. I do have my reservations, but I'm holding judgment until I see him play. If Frank Lampard can spur him on, I think he's very much one of those players that if he's happy and if he likes the manager, he will play through his skin for you. But if he's not happy, I think he's one of those that you're going to really struggle to get a beat out of. I don't necessarily think it's a team either, because at Tottenham, I don't think he played for Tottenham. I think it literally is, you've got to have the right environment around Dele Alli. You've got to have a manager that believes in him and who he believes in, who he likes and who he has a good relationship with. And I think it depends on the role he plays as well. I don't think this would be I think he'd hate it under Rafa Benitez, for example, which is probably why he said holding out to see who the manager is. I think if we've got Vitor Pereira, he'd have his reservations about a man with Pereira's CV. Frank Lampard, though, is a universally well-liked man in football. A lot of people have a lot of good things to say about him. Obviously, for Dele Alli, playing, cam centre mid role, and you could play under one of the best English centre mids, certainly of my generation, if not the best. I think he's the best centre mid England had during the golden generation. Personally, 10 goals a season on average for Frank Lampard. It's an amazing feat from centre mid. So maybe that will inspire him more. Somebody that he probably looks up to is his manager now. But yeah, so basically, guys, the deal on the surface, I mean, the 35 to 40 million seems like a lot, but then when you think about it, we will only pay that if he puts in a performance to sort of deserve that type of payment. So if he came and he doesn't get and we can't get a beat out of his drum, then we won't be paying the 35 to 40. We will just play the 10. We'll have him on the books with wages, which is, you know, maybe the slight problem that people will have, but then he'll move on. I think the deal's clever. Apparently Bill Kenwright organised it. I can't believe Daniel Levy green lighted it. He's normally quite a sassy businessman. Savvy businessman, not sassy. He's normally quite a savvy businessman. He's a very clever man, Daniel Levy, in terms of business. I obviously I've had my reservations and I've explained them to you here, but I am going to try and hold judgment. I'm certainly not writing him off. Certainly not doing that. I've not written off any of the new signings. Van der Beek, Dele Alli, and even the ones we made, you know, Patterson, I think will be good. Mikalenko, I think will come good as well. I know we got a bit of lashing on Twitter the other day, but I think he's got the potential to come good as well. I'm certainly not writing him off. All I'm saying is that I have my reservations, and I'd love to be proven wrong. I would happily hold my hands up and say, no, wrong. Dele Alli, completely worth all the money in the world. What a deal that was. Fantastic. But only time will tell on that one. But yeah, this is everything. That's everything I've got to say about Dele Alli. Don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel if you're not already, and comment down below your thoughts on Dele Alli. I truly do think if Lampard can keep him happy, we could see the Dele Alli of 20 years old when he took the Premier League by a bit of storm. And I think Frank Lampard is probably the manager to get that out of him. In all honesty, I think as a player, if you're an English centre mid or even a attacking midfielder, and you probably at Dele Alli's age, you probably grew up admiring Frank Lampard. He's about a year older than me, and I thought Frank Lampard was a fantastic player growing up. So Dele Alli probably thinks the same thing, bearing in mind to play the same position. But yeah, that is all I've got time for, guys. Don't forget to do everything I've said. Let me know your thoughts and take care.